Welcome back to another episode of PB Ballers. Wow, what an ass whooping. South Korea takes out Kuwait 4-0. Final World Cup qualifier before we ramp up for the tournament next summer. Guys, we got a ton to talk about, so I'll just get into it first. Heung-min basically shuffles the entire lineup. A new keeper in net, Lee Chang-gun. Then he swaps out the center backs. Kim Ju-sung and Lee Han-bum were the pairing. And then in central midfield, Park Kyung-woo was suspended. So he plays Won-doo-jae, who we've all been pining to see. And then Kang-in moves to the middle as the number 10. I believe Jun-ho was out on the left-hand side as the left winger. And at right wing, we had Jun-ho making his debut for the KNT with Hyeon-gyu up top. I'll just say first, finally, Won-doo-jae was amazing today. I know it's Kuwait, but Jang-ho and I were talking about this in the group chat. Like, he was actually able to pass the ball vertically, which is something Park Kyung-woo has not been able to do, even against the likes of Palestine. So that was a big thing for me. Kang-in finally looked unlocked in the middle of the field because he wasn't getting double teamed on the touchline. There's more to talk about, guys, but those are my initial reactions. First thoughts when you watch this thumping.
Well, right. We're going straight into it, I see. Okay, so first off, hey, we're the Invincibles, undefeated in this qualification round. Rather unbelievably, I think. I don't think we should gloss over that, though. We've got the job done, and even with all the issues that we're having, we have players that are good enough to essentially cruise through these qualifications, and we can confidently say, we're one of the best in Asia. Now, on tonight's game, I think, as you said, Albert, we have to start with a disclaimer here that it was only Kuwait in a game that didn't matter. So we shouldn't get too carried away. There's only so much we can learn from this game. But there were some really exciting flashes, some signs of hope for the future, which we've not felt for a while, I think. That was really encouraging. The question is, I think, moving forward, will Heung-min continue to be brave in that way and choose some of these younger, newer faces again in the future? We shall see. But I think it was a good start today.
It was nice to see Won-doo-jae in there. I know we had Kim Jin-gyu in there in the previous game, and he was pretty impressive, but he is on the smaller side, so it's nice to see a bigger, more stout guy like Won-doo-jae step up there and not just play well defensively, like in the air and in his duels, but like you guys said, passing forward as well. Again, it is Kuwait, so that is with a bit of an asterisk, but it was nice to build some confidence and get some of the guys in there, especially the likes of like Hyeon-gyu and stuff like that. I much prefer the style of football that we're playing with Hyeon-gyu over Oseun, especially in that first half against Iraq with the Bongchukwu. I was starting to get a little frustrated with that, but today was a bit different. A lot of short passing, a lot of crisp passing, like within the final third. A lot of close passes, tiki-taka type of stuff that was working pretty well for us. It was nice to also see, like you guys mentioned, Jun-ho as well. I didn't think he would get minutes over Yang Yeon-jun at that right winger spot, but he has, and he's proven his worth. So I was pretty impressed with how he showed up.
That's the thing, right? None of this matters unless Hong takes a lesson from it and then somewhat modifies his starting 11 for the friendlies in September in the United States against the USMNT and Mexico. Because Kuwait's not good, the USMNT and Mexico have been struggling, I think, in recent years, but still, if we're being honest, two pretty good teams, two teams on paper that are probably better than us as well. So, in my opinion, I don't think that Hong should totally dismantle his traditional starting 11, but I think today's match, even though it's against Kuwait, did reveal that there are some things that he could potentially tinker with, and that there are some younger players, I think, who might deserve a bigger look. You could pick anywhere in the team, right, guys? Whether it's in central defense, someone to partner with Kim Min-jae, obviously the CDM position, but also out on the wings, maybe a right winger to play, with Sonny on the opposite side. So there's a lot of things that we could talk about, and I guess the first thing, maybe we can start from the back of the field. I thought Lee Han-bum, who had not been playing a lot in Denmark, I think, but then suddenly started getting minutes recently, looked really aggressive today. He was, and I think one point in the match, he stole a ball near the top of the opponent's box and took a shot that didn't go in, but it almost reminded me of like a Kim Min-jae type move. And he was solid today, didn't really, get beat by anyone. And considering his age and that he's fast, physical, and strong, I think that he could be somebody that gets a chance with Kim Min-jae. I like Cho Heung-min and what he provides, especially on the ball, but I think in an ideal world, maybe Cho Heung-min would be a backup on a KNT roster.
Before we move on from that, I mean, we have to think about the last, I think, 20 minutes or so. We actually played with three center backs. So maybe you
Yeah,
can
we
see
did.
that.
Park Sung-ho came
That's what I'm
on.
saying. Maybe
Yeah.
you can see a Kim Min-jae, Cho Yoo-min, Lee Hyun-bum pairing in the back. I mean, it was quite impressive for me, for Hong Myung-bo to kind of even tinker with formations and tactics a bit at the end there, taking out both fullbacks and putting on all offense there with Hwang Hee-chan and Yang Yeon-jun coming in. I didn't expect him to do quite all of that, so that was interesting to see. I just wanted to mention that before forgetting. So
No, I do think that was interesting to see. Hong Myung-bo being brave with tactics. That's not something we've said very often over the last year or so.
Up the field, midfielder, we'll just get into it. Paul's the bane of his existence. Park Young-woo was obviously suspended, like I mentioned. Listen, guys, like Won Du-jae, it's one game, but I thought he was quite lively. He helped in build-up. He wasn't a liability in build-up, which is, I think, the thing we all hate about Park Young-woo so much. He also, I think, at times kind of sucked himself back into the back line and played almost as a center back at times. You know, Paolo Bento called him up a few times here and there when he was coach of Korea, but never really gave him a chance over Chung Woo-young Sr. So maybe this could be Won Du-jae's moment. Unfortunately, I don't think Won Du-jae is going to start in September. I think Hong will stick with Park Young-woo. But what I'm mad about mostly is that Won Du-jae looked really good today. I know it's Kuwait, but like I don't know like what Hong Myung-bo was thinking keeping him on the bench this long, because this is not the first time Won Du-jae has been called up to the national team. He just hasn't played.
Yeah, why do we keep using Park Yong-woo? It's just so infuriating. I mean, as we said, admittedly today, we barely got to see his defensive qualities, Won Du-jae's, but he was so great at connecting the play, passing the ball forward. He had some great crosses. I mean, he can actually pass forward, which is more than what Yong-woo can do. I mean, we'll have to see how he fares against better teams, whether he can give the defensive cover that Hwang In-bum always needs. But yes, we definitely want to see more of Won Du-jae. I would be so annoyed if Park Yong-woo gets picked over Won Du-jae again the next time, because we need to see more of him so that we can kind of definitively say whether he is the better option. But yeah, no, today it was just absolutely so refreshing to see. And I like his name as well. It sounds a bit 촌스러워 and 무식해 in Korean, but in English it sounds like a cross between dude and DJ, and that's cool.
Won Du-jae, and
Yeah.
now I can't wait for Paul Jung's crash out moment here.
I mean, it's crazy because just a few years back, Won Du-jae was supposed to be like Ki Sung-young's like heir apparent. I mean, we were hyping up so much, and he had to battle through a few injuries, and a couple of things happened that didn't go his way. So it's nice to see it kind of come full circle here, and maybe get that second opportunity to shine. Just anything right now at this point is an upgrade over Park Young-woo. So it's like, whether it's defensively or offensively speaking, it's like if they bring just a little bit, that's an upgrade you get. I love seeing him play with confidence and be on the ball a lot, because the couple of times he did play, he didn't look very confident. And this is him coming back from injuries. Maybe he's closer to 100% now and feeling a bit more confident. So it was a nice pairing with him and Hwang In-bum and Lee Kang-in in the midfield. They dominated the ball. The second half was complete just domination, especially. Anytime Kuwait got the ball for half a second, we were on them, just getting the ball back and just starting the offense again. But if we're going to go towards the offense, I think our most important player, at least influence-wise and how he was impacting the game, was definitely Pejino. So it was very interesting to see the contrast of style between how Pejino plays to how Hwang Hee-chan plays, how he showed up against Iraq. I think Hwang Hee-chan is more of a Mo 아니면 도 type of guy, where it's like, okay, I'm either going to take you on and create this chance, or I'm going to lose the ball and the ball's going the other way. Where Pejino has more control, he's a more technical player, he's able to take risks, but not unnecessary risks to where he's just turning the ball over. But just to see us keep possession and keep the ball clean in the final third was a big plus over what I saw against Iraq. And this is no shade against Hwang Hee-chan, but I just think he's not in form right now, not playing a lot for Wolves, so he's still a bit rusty. And I think, as most of us have pointed out, maybe at this point in his career, he's better off as a late second half sub to come on against tired legs. And so maybe Pejino is a better person to look at, especially if we're going to move Son Heung-min to a more central role, if that's possible.
For me, Pejino was the man of the match today. He was lively, he was attacking. He made a couple of great assists as well. Just a threat throughout the game down that left side.
Now, how many times did he get fouled today?
I think
it's crazy. How many times did he get fouled today? He got fouled like 20 times, man. It was ridiculous. They were fouling every other play.
A lot.
But the thing is, so compared to Hwang Hee-chan, I think he just has more awareness of the team. He's a better team player. He seems to know where all the other players are, so he can connect the play with them. And I think that was great to see. And Hwang Hee-chan, we saw in a glimpse, in just 1 second when he came on, his good points and bad points. So there was a moment where he ran past the defender with a ball, and you were like, yes, that's the Hwang Hee-chan we remember. And then with a second touch, he completely lost control of the ball and it went out for a goal kick. And that kind of sums up exactly where he's at the moment. So he has that explosive potential to get past players. But then at the moment, because he's out of form, he can't control it. He's rusty. I think Hee-chan's days really could be numbered if he continues playing like this and if he doesn't get minutes. He really needs, one, to be fit, and then two, to find a team where he can get minutes.
I mean, we do give him a pass because he hasn't played much at Wolves, but he really, like Jang-ho said, has to move to a club where he plays minutes, but where he also plays well. Because there are guys now behind him who are making a case to get a bigger role on this KNT. And the thing is, even if he was healthy, right, Hee-chan's playing on the left, and at this point, it seems like Hong Myung-bo has kind of resigned himself to playing Son Heung-min on the left side of the field. So Hee-chan wasn't starting anyway. He was going to be an impact sub at best, given his injury history and where his career is at. I don't really see much of a future for him unless he gets it together next year. I was honestly surprised how good Jun-ho was today, though, because apparently he's been pretty bad at Stoke this year for most of the season. And when he was first coming up, I think he was almost billed as more of a central player who could play out wide at times. Every time I've seen him, he looks a lot more dangerous cutting in from the left side. And then the other guy on the right wing, Chun Jin-woo, who actually had a name change recently, but anyway, he was actually been a pretty good player in the K-League for Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. He's always,
top scorer in the league, right?
Yeah, he is. I think so. Is he maybe potentially our solution at right wing? Maybe? Because that's been a problem position too.
I think it's a little bit early to say that. I think he showed that he is lively and that there's potential. But I also think for example, he just wasn't as dangerous as Pejun on the left. He wasn't as effective. So he showed glimpses, I think, of his potential. But I think we need to see far more from him.
Yeah, you still have other possible candidates. You have Yang Hyun-jun didn't get much time today, but Yang Hyun-jun and Yang Min-hyuk are still in the mix, I believe. So I know Hong Myung-bo said that, a lot of the championship guys weren't called up because their season ended earlier. And with Pejun,
that was a weird excuse, though.
Yeah, that's a bad excuse. I understand. But as far as Pejun at Stoke goes, I feel like their style of football, just because they have such low possession, it didn't allow him to really showcase his skills this year. The fact that we were able to dominate the ball that we did today, I think close to 80% possession, it allowed him so many touches to get comfortable, and I think it was good to see that. But I think the right wing is still a big question mark, whether we're going to stick with the Kang-in thing or if we're going to go someone new and move Kang-in to the middle. There's still a lot of pieces I think that we need to set in before the World Cup starts. I think the friendlies in September will be key for that.
So I know some of you guys are saying maybe Jun-ho was the most impactful offensive player, but I could also make the argument I think that Kang-in was incredibly impactful today, playing in the middle, making those classic, Kang-in turns, just kind of shimmying past guys and almost putting them on their heels, which we haven't seen a lot this year. And Paul would know a lot about that because he's a big PSG fan. So it was really refreshing seeing that. It almost felt like the kid had his joy back because he wasn't stuck out on the wing. Now, again, you're right. It remains to be seen whether he is staying in that position, because we also know Lee Jae-sung is still a big part of this team, and Lee Jae-sung I don't think is as good out wide, but it seems like Hong Myung-bo, I can't see him dropping Lee Jae-sung from the starting 11, even though I personally think he probably shouldn't be in the 11 all the time. So I'm trying not to get too high because I know that it's one match and Hong is probably going to revert to the same old crap that we didn't like before. But man, guys, Kang-in looked really, really good playing as the quote-unquote number 10. I think that's where he has to play. Whether Hong does, I don't know.
I think Hong is considering it more. In the last international window, Kang-in played in the centre of the park, as a midfielder, not as a 10, if I remember correctly. And he was dictating play like a Pirlo-esque. back then, but this time he was in the number 10 position. He was just a class above everyone else once again today. He was just so beautiful to watch. For me, Kang-in has to play there. He needs to be more involved in games. Putting him in the middle allows that, and it's just too much of a waste of his talents to put him out to the right. I think Hong Myung-bo likes Lee Jae-sung because he's just a bit more all-round. He's better defensively. I think that's why Hong Myung-bo likes him, and Lee Jae-sung, for me, he's a player who's always consistently 3 out of 5 stars. Like, he is that level. Like, he won't give you much more than that most of the time, but he won't go much lower than that most of the time. He's consistent, and that's why I think Hong Myung-bo likes him, and he's consistent going forward and defensively. Lee Kang-in won't give you that, especially defensively, but he's a 4-5 star player going forward.
Those analogies are so good, man. Lee Jae-sung is like a solid burger that's not Michelin star, but it'll just get the job done, right? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so it's too much of a waste, I think. He's too valuable to stick out to the right. And so for me, I want to see more. But, it is Hong Myung-bo. He is conservative, to say the least.
Mr. PSG?
I feel the exact same way. I think Lee Kang-in is really, and I've mentioned this before, is only dangerous on the right wing when you give him a very speedy and elite right fullback, which we don't have, unfortunately. I'm not saying Hyeon-gyu was not a great player, but he's not a bomber down the flank. He cuts more inside as well. So that combination wasn't, even though it's effective, it's not threatening enough, I feel like. And it doesn't allow Lee Kang-in to impact the game as much as he wants to because, again, he gets trapped there and Hyeon-gyu was not really a threat to go out wide. So the defenses don't have to concentrate on that too much. So you move Lee Kang-in centrally, that I think opens up Hyeon-gyu's game too on the right side, allows him to be more free there to invert in and cut back in as well. So I think it's a good move for the team in general to do that. So it shifts everybody else, like you guys are talking about. What does it do to the Lee Jae-sungs? And it's tough having Lee Kang-in and Hwang In-bum both as ball dominant players on the pitch at the same time. I think that's why Hwang In-bum and Lee Jae-sung work so well together because Lee Jae-sung really doesn't need the ball. He's more an off the ball type of guy. So it allows Hwang In-bum a little bit more control of the ball. But it's yet to, against a good team, I do want to see this Hwang In-bum and Lee Kang-in pairing to see how that kind of meshes against teams that control the ball a little bit more and we don't have 80% possession like we did today. So I do kind of want to see that. I think we need to be challenged a little bit more before we make any, harsh or rash decisions on who should play where. I think these matches in September will prove a lot.
I think that's a good point about Hwang In-bum. We didn't see much of him today. Yeah. And I think that's probably because Lee Kang-in was on the pitch doing more of that role further up the pitch. The fact that we didn't see much of Hwang In-bum says a lot. But yeah, having both of them on the pitch today was really fun to watch, actually, though.
Yeah, Hwang In-bum was still like his usual self, but definitely wasn't kind of the metronome of the offense like he usually is. And I honestly think it's better for him like that because I think it's too much pressure for him to almost like kind of have the burden to be like the Andrea Pirlo of this team. Not that he's not good, but I just think it's a lot easier for him when other guys are getting more attention, especially if he's playing alongside Park Kyung-woo, who I think is just like having a traffic cone next to you. If we look ahead, guys, towards our next fixtures, I believe the senior team does have some games, and Jang-ho, forgive me if I'm wrong, it's like the EAFF or some East Asian Cup that we have.
Some EASF thing,
yeah,
whatever.
And
it's not a FIFA sanctioned tournament, so all the European players won't be playing. It will be mostly K-League players.
That's right. Asian based. And because of that, we never performed that well. And there are some nightmares from that tournament as well. That was the game where that was a tournament where Korea played against Japan under Bento and they lost 3-0. And it caused an absolute outrage in the country that how can Korea lose to Japan 3-0 and Bento should be sacked, and it was complete overreaction at the time because there were none of our regular starters during that competition. It might be interesting to see some more K-League players, but it's not a competition that we should focus too much on, I think. No, those games, like you said, were going to be for some of these K-League based guys to get reps in with the national team, but that's about it. It won't tell us a lot about the core of this team, quote unquote. So if we look ahead, guys, to the September window as we close out the video, we got the USMNT playing them in Harrison, New Jersey, and I think we play after that Mexico in Nashville, Tennessee. Intimidating opponents. I think we don't really play that many good teams in Asian qualifying, like just with all due respect. So I'll just say I think there's a part of me that knows what Hong Myung-bo is going to do, and a part of me that would rather him do the right thing, quote unquote, and maybe kind of keep some elements of the starting 11 for those friendlies. And for me, that would be obviously starting Won Do-jae in the midfield. And call me crazy, but I think I would maybe give Lee Hyun-bum a shot next to Kim Min-jae, but I wouldn't be mad with Cho Yun-min starts. But I think for me, the most important thing is benching Park Young-woo for 2J against the US, but also making sure Kang-in plays in the middle against the Americans. But as long as he makes those two changes, and then the rest of the guys are, the guys we know, I don't think I could be too upset at Hong Myung-bo if that was the lineup we trotted out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. And the other thing I would definitely not do is start Oh Se-hoon. I just nothing against him, but I feel like when we do the Bongchuku route, we become so just stoic and just our movement is just stops. Like it becomes very boring and just non-mobile type of soccer, and it's not fun to watch. So whether that's Oh Yeong-gyu up top or whether it's Son Heung-min up top, I do feel like Oh Yeong-gyu is an interesting player. There's a lot of things I like, and there's some things I also don't like. I think his link-up play leaves a lot to be desired. Like when he's touching the ball outside of the box, I don't have a lot of confidence in what he's going to do with it. But when he's in the box and the ball falls to him, I think he's probably our best player at that point, whether it's controlling it and getting a shot off or doing something there. Within the box, he's a great player. I don't know how you guys feel about him as a overall player and how he fits into everything. I know Jang-ho brought this up earlier as far as like Pejino connecting play well. I don't see that part of Oh Yeong-gyu's game too much. And I know some people like seeing the selfish side of him just taking shots the second he has an opportunity to do so. It just seems like he's got the green light. Like anytime it's near him, he's like, I'm taking the shot. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's not so good. So, before we move on to that last question, I just want to know how you guys feel about Oh Yeong-gyu as a starter and his overall game.
For me, Oh Hyung-gyu today, he got the goal, and in that goal, he showed what he's really good at. In the box, that swivel and quick shot, that was really good, and that's what you want to see from a striker. That's great to see. But for me, I felt he was strangely missing through much of the match. The ball never got to him, and I don't know whether that's because the players couldn't find him, or if he can't find the right space within the team. I think the best strikers, they somehow find ways for the ball to find them. And I think he's struggling to do that. He's not at that level where he's in the right place at the right time. And he needs to do that more. I think he's a little bit undercooked. Has potential. But can we rely on him to lead the line for a World Cup? I think it's too early. And I'm not sure the World Cup is going to be... I don't think he's going to be ready for the World Cup. That does concern me. But then again, we don't have any other choice at the moment unless we put Sonny up top as a false nine.
Well, one option I think that everyone has overlooked is Lee Ho-jae, who plays for the Pohang Steelers. I think he's one of the top 5 goal scorers in the K-League. He's a 24-year-old center forward, about 92 centimeters. So, dude is huge. Hong Myung-bo, I don't know why he hasn't called him up. Maybe he feels like Ho-jae doesn't fit his style of game, but he's playing for a pretty damn good team in Pohang, or traditionally a pretty damn good team in Pohang. And we do have a dearth of good strikers, right? I think we all know that Ju Min-gyu is not the answer. He should not probably be called up anymore. Not because he's not a decent player. He just can't move. And then Oh Hyung-gyu, like Chang-ho said, maybe he played okay today, but he might not be ready. Oh Se-hoon, like Paul says, is a little too not mobile enough. It begs the question why Hong Myung-bo hasn't taken looks at guys like Lee Ho-jae playing for Pohang. I think all this is really unfortunate because I think Cho Gyu-sung, who recently was revealed that he had got an infection in his knee from the surgery, which is why he hasn't played in over a year. I think when Cho Gyu-sung was on his game briefly, I think we could have really used him in this national team because he's a traditional target man who's actually quite good at pressing and moving around the field. If Oh Yeong-gyu's not the answer, I think we should take a look at somebody like Lee Ho-jae.
I don't know how he compares to Oh Se-hoon. Like, it seems like profiles might be the same as far as like physically. I just don't know his style of play. I'm not too familiar with this game, but if you're saying he should get a chance, maybe he should get a chance, especially maybe at this cup you guys are talking about where only the K-League players play. Maybe that's his opportunity to take a chance and maybe get some time.
Yeah, you don't always need, I think, a striker who has to move all around the pitch. I think some of the best teams still are able to go deep in tournaments, but there's the traditional number 9 who occupies the space with the center backs. I think it's more about how well they play with the 3 attackers behind them. and their chemistry and how well they link up. And I think if some other guys are given a chance, maybe we could, find a solution. Because like Chang-ho said, I don't know if Heung-gyu yet has the chemistry maybe with some of the guys who play behind him to be ready to be the starter. In any case, guys, as we wrap up the video, like I said, what would you like to see change for the friendlies against the US and Mexico, and what do you think is going to happen? And also, screw it. What do you think is going to happen? How do you think we'll fare?
I think for me, the result is not as important as the style of play and what we learn from the games. I think we all have similar ideas of what we want to see in the squad, but I think those two games are going to tell us a lot about what Hong Myung-bo is actually going to bring, and that's what we're going to have to analyze and watch out for. I think that's going to be, we're going to see finally. So is he actually going to stick with the conservative tactics that he's shown so far, or was it just for qualification? Is he now going to try and experiment a bit more and try and do something a bit more adventurous? So these two games, I think, will tell us a lot.
I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it just based off the results from his experimenting these last couple games. They've gone pretty well. If they didn't, I think he might have pulled back a little bit and say, oh, I need to go back to what was working. But because he's kind of seeing something, I think he's like, probably his ears are perking up a little bit, like maybe I should run with this for a little bit and see what happens. He's got some momentum here with the younger guys. I think we test it out. I think results, like Jang-ho was saying, might not be the greatest. I kind of feel like a draw and a loss coming. I don't think we're going to win either match. But I feel like we'll kind of experiment, go through some rough patches, but see some bright moments and be like, hey, this has potential. And again, like Jang-ho said, that's more important than what these two friendly results equate to. 2 L's, 1 loss, 1 L, it doesn't really matter. It's really about what kind of football we play on the pitch and if we're actually trying something to better ourselves for 2026.
I think what this game today did for us, it instilled a little bit of hope, a bit more hope going forward, that we have different options, that there is something more to work off. The key issue going into the summer, I think, is what happens with the transfers. I think that's going to be so important. Where is Sonny going to be? Where is Kang-in going to be playing? Are they going to play? Will Hee-chan be able to find a team and play? Even Kim Min-jae, is he going to stay with Bayern and get the minutes and get the trust and get the support that he needs? There are so many question marks flying around this summer. Hopefully, by the US-Mexico games in September, we will have those answers. And then we can really start working towards the World Cup proper. Right now, there's a lot of question marks. But yeah, hopefully by September, those will be answered and we can work towards a better team and style of play.
So quick update on transfers, actually. Reports coming out of Italy that Napoli and PSG have reached an agreement in principle for Kang-in's transfer. We'll see if he agrees to go and if the two clubs can work out kind of an arrangement for, the complications. I think there's also image rights issues involved with Kang-in being such an important player for Korea. It seems like Antonio Conte has an eye on him, so he could be going to Italy. I think that'd be an okay move. And then from what I've heard, I was actually able to speak to somebody who kind of is connected to Bayern in the last week, and they said that probably unlikely that Min-jae leaves just because due to his salary, but also just the lack of depth and how hard it is, nowadays to get guys on the transfer market, but we'll see. But yeah, it looks like Kang-in to Italy is something that could happen, and Paul, I wonder what you think about that. Him playing under Antonio Conte.
Yeah, Conte ball. It'll be interesting to watch him play under that system. I don't know if it's the best match, but they're picking up a lot of talent. If they're picking up KDB and a couple other guys along the way, and he's playing with Mutamane and stuff like that, that could be a good spot. I think if you put enough talent around Kang-in, I think he can shine regardless of where he goes or what kind of system he plays in. As long as he gets playing time, that's the biggest thing. And plus, they're coming off a Scudetto, they're playing Champions League ball, so I don't think it's a bad spot to play. They have a lot of momentum, but as we've stated, I think the most important thing for our guys is playing time. We base that off of just how our guys have looked as far as the guys who aren't playing, whether Kang-in was playing against Iraq and how Hee-chan was playing against Iraq, playing coming off of basically not playing for their clubs. They looked really, really rusty. So we can't have that going into the World Cup.
For me, this game today, it just, instilled a little bit of hope, and it's kind of brought some of the excitement back, which we've been missing for a while.
Yeah, it was a bit of an all-star game type of celebration, chukcha type of thing going on. But hey, man, we'll take it. We deserve it. We already qualified, and this was kind of a showcase for us. And I'm glad the guys were able to play loose without any pressure and just kind of show off.
And as the boys said, joy and hope is the theme here. A little bit of that, especially coming into the summer. Hopefully all the boys stay healthy. And if the ones who need to leave their clubs go to good clubs where they're able to play. We'll see you guys soon. We're going to break down everything related to the national team as we ramp up to this very important World Cup. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'll link Jang-ho and Paul's socials down in this video below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well. In the meantime, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.